folks, going back here to the Diagnostic Trading Hour. This is Daryl Martin right here on TFNN.com and coming to you live anywhere you're at on your mobile phone at TFNN.mobi and live inside the eSignal platform. Let's check out where the markets are at today. We got the S&P is currently flying high, up 20 points. The Russell's up 21. NASDAQ's up 32, and the Dow's up 113. So bouncing on back from that big move down yesterday. We got copper right now is up over 1.5% up right now on the day. We got gold up a few dollars right now at about a third of a percent. We got silver up 0.5%. Oil is flying down, down, down it goes. Right now, we're sitting down right now $2. That's about a 2.5% down move on oil. Natural gas currently down a little over 2% as well. Looking on over at the ag markets, we got ags moving a little bit. We got corn up a little over 0.5% as well as soybeans up a little over 0.5%, almost 0.75% now. Checking out the FX market, the pound dollar is getting pounded on down 158 pips. Euro pound's currently up 21 pips. We got the dollar franc up 64. We'll get on over at the dollar yen. Dollar franc's up 64. Dollar yen is up 15. Euro yen currently down 67. Aussie yen down 23. Aussie dollar down 42. Check out the bond markets up about 0.25%. Dollar index pretty flat, up about a 0.15% at the moment. Yeah, euro dollar is moving on down heavy, down 87 pips on the day, so lots of volatility in the market for you to trade off of. Going in, looking at a few of the different markets, like I said, we got some big movers, and let's check out, do a little review on a few of those charts. Let's see here. Let me open up our first example for you, and that'll be, we'll look at the Aussie dollar. And like I said, I'd like to do those nighttime reviews with you. We got a nice evening trade right there that took place on the Aussie MVP, getting long about 8 o'clock and moving on up from there and breaking out of the range, giving you a great setup and a nice long buy trade. And if you got in that with like sort of an at-the-money type thing, definitely could have hopped in and taken some profit there. Let's see what else we have. We got, looking over here at the Euro-Yen 10-minute chart. And on that one, had a little bit of chop going on. Didn't break short, broke long, did move on up, broke short, and moved way down. Right around a little after midnight, around 1 o'clock there, gave the confirmation to go ahead and take that short as it moved down solid. Looking on over at the euro-dollar. The euro-dollar here, we can see we got a nice confirmation of a down move that happened early in the session. It was already going down before that, but in the early euro session, if you're trading that, got a nice short where it moved on down, and as we just talked about, it is down pretty solid for the day as well. Down 80-something pips right now. Going in, looking at a couple other markets, we'll check out where the pound yen is. Pound yen, a little wrap-up for you from last night, moved down solid. Started at 3 o'clock, kept going down, 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 right until about 8:30, and then popped on back up for a nice long trade. That's just using 10-minute bars, checking out the deviation levels, popping on the momentum volatility predictor right there, and you can see just a lot of good movement, and even that movement being confirmed with a breakout in expected volume. So just some really, really good moves all along the way. They had some great evening trades, so got plenty of evening opportunities. Don't forget, you got Sunday trading as well. Oil, it's been a little bit choppier right now. Let me pull up a oil chart. We have got some, like I said, some decent moves on it. But let me pull this up and move on over to a current live oil chart. See where we're sitting at the moment. And, maximize that chart there, let you see that. Been a little bit choppy through the night. But when it kicked off this morning, we finally did get a 10-minute short, and it flew on back up, but still pushing back down to the 1 deviation move. Hopping on into NASDAQ and taking a look at that. Like I said, we got some good moves going on this morning, and it's up, 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 up. Plenty of long trades along the way, and done pretty well there, especially on like profit poppers and things of that sort. So lots of good potential trades that you could take advantage of. And, one of the things, look at just all sorts of potential trades, but one of the trades talked to Marilyn this morning, and she's looking at, hey, when you get the A on the apex here on the pattern, and you get a peak on the deviations, their little mountainous peak, then that looks like it sets up for a good short trade or inverted for a long trade. Just got to find that peak of a mountain to find that good trade setup. And looks like she may be onto something. So really looking forward to following up with that more. And, right here, didn't quite peak, but there we go. There's a nice mountain, and it pulls on back down. So it could be, at the very least, a good scalp trade. Might be able to trail it just with each bar. Has a possibility of just trailing it down after the entry, just on each close of a bar, to trail to the high of that bar would be one possibility of a way to play that, like I said, for at least for a scalp trade. Let's see here. Going on in, looking at the S&P. Was a little bit choppy on the open, but finally decided to go somewhere and has moved up, up, up. Hit the one deviation, came on back down, didn't quite fill in the gap, came really close, but then moved on back up, broke through the one deviation, now heading on up at 1.5 deviations. Gold, not a whole lot going on there in gold right now, just sort of oscillating along, but plenty of good profit poppers in that process that you can take advantage of. Very simple trades. Just hopping on the E-bar, take a profit right before the low there of the A-bar, and especially when it comes right near settlement. So what do we got? We got one trade right there, second trade right there, a really nice big profit popper trade right there. So that's 3 trades this morning right there just on gold. So some great possibilities. Hopefully you're able to take advantage of some of those. And let's see. Let's go in. The Russell had some nice elite moves today. Just started off a little bit slow, but then moved on up. And actually broke through the one deviation, 1.5, heading on up to 2. And right through that 1.5, got a nice long, and it's just been moving on up. Sort of flatlining now, sitting up at that 2 deviation mark. The DAX had some good moves as well for you international indice traders. You could trade this on Nadex also. And moved down great last night, then flipped on around and had to move on up, had an apex reversal there, got several profit poppers in the process. So lots of good trades. And dollar index, where's the dollar index? Well, the dollar index is up again. Looking at the dollar index, it is just, you can't ask for a better trend. Just up, 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 up the entire way. And just moving on up there, sitting up at 1 deviation right now. Stronger dollar. Few of the headlines, capturing those for you. Euro dollar recovering from that cap at 1.2680. Let's go ahead and pull up the euro dollar on that one, and we'll tie it in and check it out. So right over here on the euro dollar, and we pull that up. And we can see a few different things, but that 2680, it went right up there, and like I said, recovering yesterday, but then pulling on back down right now, coming on back down to settlement. It keeps getting pulled right back down to that settlement. Had a big, big breakout. It broke through that 2680 cap, and but it gave it all back, sitting right down at 2657 right now. We got the CAD, definitely driven by the greenback over here, the king dollar. And if we go check that out on the dollar CAD, we can look at it and just see some of these nice big moves in the dollar CAD today. Just huge. Ran right on up, right to a deviation move. Doesn't necessarily seem huge, but that's a nice 60 pip plus move right there. And check out, that's a 10-minute deviation. Boom, up. It goes right, it flips. Very small loss if you're trading at 10 o'clock. But then go in and start trading this around midnight. It goes long again at 2 o'clock. Hops on up, then doesn't give you a short until later in the day, right around 9 a.m. But it had a great run up there on the day. We got European stocks and going on in. So looks like there's been some small gains. We'll see if that's a dead cat bounce or what that is that's going on. But had some, finally they got a little bit of gains over there on the European stocks. Aussie dollar. Let's go ahead and check out the Aussie. Tie into that. Look at where it's at. And fell on the test of the day lows from 87.15. Keeps coming on down, bouncing right back up off of it. Again, a lot of great moves in the evening. I hope you're getting some of these where it just takes off and then turned right back around 2 a.m. Euro session, just went short for you all the way. So really just a great setup and some really good moves. But these evening trades have been just fantastic, just using this simple 10-minute MVP system there. Let's see, going in, Wall Street bouncing. So I had that big 3-day slump, deciding to do a little move up. We'll see if it can hold on to that, if this is just a bounce and a downtrend, or if it's actually something real. We've been looking at everything. So far, it looks like it's going to keep going on down. Let's check out the Dow and see how the Dow looks on the day. And we pull that up. Got to scroll on down there. And on the Dow, we got that move on down right here. There it goes. And had that big drop. And trying to move up, it did get a deviation. Notice the deviation was a lot smaller today than it was yesterday. Well, how did that change? How do we get a smaller deviation today? Implied volatility dropped a little bit. When IV goes down, the implied deviation levels go down. They're meant to be a future forecasting number, not historical, but not even so much future, but like now, today, at this moment, what are the market's expectations? And so, yesterday we have a big IV number. You see how it goes right down to one deviation down, and we get a move of 200 pips. Today, a one deviation move is going to take us to 134 pips. That's a 70 pip difference from one day to the next. Look at where it stopped yesterday, right at -1 deviations. Look at where it stopped today so far, right at +1 deviations. So these are updated every single day. Again, using the implied volatility of the underlying markets, I go in and find that expected movement built into options price. It's every market participant voting on how far they think the market's going to go and putting their money where their mouth is. And so we let the market tell us how far the market's going to move, tie that into any trading system you want, okay? And it gives you a great profit goal, such as maybe you get a short right here. You could target the -1 deviation move, or you get a long right here. You could target the 1 deviation up move. So that's just a very simple way to trade the MVP system, or, with a direction. You want to choose an out of the money binary, maybe you target 1 deviation, and just one of many ways that you can trade it and layer them in. But, or you just do at the money to make it really simple, or you could just, you could actually go in and use a decent stop with the MVP line, go in, hop on in, and then trail it on up till you get that deviation, and at least take profits or tighten stops, one of the two. So that way you don't give all that back, okay? Let's see, we got the pound franc. So making some massive moves. Remember, you can, I've talked this before, okay, if we go look at pound franc, you can go in and you can trade these other currency pairs. There's like 16 other combinations of currencies you can trade on Nadex by combining different pairs. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get back. Stay right there. All right, folks, we'll come on back here to the Diagnostic Trading Hour. Checking out the pound franc, and we had some nice longs and shorts on that. One of the things I was talking about before we went to break was the ability to actually go in and trade other FX pairs. So, for instance, if I'm looking at, the pound dollar and the dollar franc, I could sell pound dollar and sell dollar franc. That would make the dollars cross out. That would just have pound franc. It's called making a synthetic pair versus a natural pair. And so, but in that synthetic pair, the synthetic cross of pound dollar and dollar franc, actually selling both of them, I'm short the pound franc, okay? And that allows me to then actually trade the pound franc even if I don't have access to a pound franc instrument. So if I went short pound dollar spreads and I went short dollar franc spreads, that'd be the same as going short a pound franc spread. And I just watch the pound franc. I'd look at for what is my P&L, I could look at this pound franc chart and figure it out pretty easily, but on a dollar basis on pips. Or I could just go over and make it even easier. I could look at just these spreads and look at the combination of the two P&Ls to know what my P&L is, but I could trade off the chart. But this gives one example, a really simple example of how to go in and trade whatever FX pair you want. You can combine the pound, CAD, franc, obviously dollar, euro, the Aussie. So there's a lot of combinations in there, and I actually list deviation levels for every combination and of them, just in case you are trading those cross currencies. So you can actually go in and trade the deviation levels on the cross currencies on these different instruments. Anyways, just one side little side topic there. Canadian stocks, TSX there hitting 8-month lows, entering correction territory. Moving on down, we got the VIX moving on down below the 24 levels. Let's pull the VIX up. Lots of chatter. We're going back and forth inside the Tiger Den over here. And we'll pull that up and look at it right now. And if I can get it to hop on top of the other chart. There we go. And pull it on up. The VIX, again, as a reminder, is based on the SPX and not based on the ES. And it just, it's just one formula for implied volatility. We can see we definitely had a move down there. from yesterday where it popped up 24, went down to 22.5. Doesn't sound like a big move, couple points. But one of the things that's easy to forget as a trader is Vega. There's 5 Greeks. Okay, there's Rho, which is based on interest. There's Theta, which is your time decay measurement. And then you can go into, Gamma, which is the delta of your delta. Delta is basically how much your option changes in price based on a 1-point move in the underlying. But you get down to Vega. Vega is the most powerful Greek. And a small move in implied volatility can make a massive move in an options price, either down or up. And so we saw a dramatic drop. It dropped on the open and dropped down a couple more points. And that literally meant a 30% less expected move over on the actual markets themselves, on the S&P, SPX, whatever. We've definitely seen a much smaller day and an up day to go with that. Of course, up days usually, not always, but usually are counted with higher IV. Every once in a while we get a divergence in there. And that's not often. Every once in a while you get a divergence, and that's when you start really wondering what in the world is going on. But let's see. So like we got 10.14. We go over here, 10.14. And you got the market going up, and you got that going down. That's what should happen. But every once in a while, and like I said, it doesn't happen often, you'll actually see the two diverge. You'll see implied volatility rise when the S&P rises. Like VIX going up and S&P going up, or VIX going down when S&P goes down. What that is to me is that's basically a choppy market warning. Get ready, there may be a reversal, or the market may just go into pure chop territory when you see the volatility index and the actual index itself go into chop. I mean, there's even a volatility index on Apple. There's one on Goldman Sachs. There's one on Google. So there's a lot of different ones that you can check out. So that nice couple short little lessons there on volatility for you and on how to combine spreads. Let's see, a couple other things we can look into. Let's go and let's look at today's news trades and talk about those and how they went. Pull those on up for you. We'll walk through them step by step. And it looks like over here, give me 1 second. And we ought to be able to get you going, okay? All right, so on the news trades, we had a few different things. We had Frank CPI, Pound CPI, PPI, RPI. We had a lot of Be Aware events and a couple trades in that process. When we get back after this break, I'll go into some of those trades for you. Stay right there. We'll be back after this break. All right, folks, so I'm back here to the Diagnostic Trading Hour. Let's see here. Let's look at the news plans. That's what we're diving into at the moment. And just going in trying to help you out on that. And I'm pulling those up for you so we can walk through each and every one of them. Make sure you got that down. Okay, so being the 14th, hopping on down, and basically what we had was we had a couple setups from last night, like I talked about on the Frank and on the Pound. So let's go in and let's look at a chart on a few of these examples, okay? We pull back up. I had a chart going for us earlier there on the Pound Frank. We'll just use that one. We'll just roll it on over to Dollar Frank and check out the move. So right here on the Dollar Frank, we are looking at a Iron Condor for the 3 p.m. PPI, or 3:15 a.m. PPI release. We're looking at 11 to 7. Let's see how that trade would have worked out if you could have got the fills on it. And again, even if you can't, that's okay, because sometimes we'll go in and we at least have an expectation on movement. So this one moved pretty good, but then you see that there's actually a pop a little bit later in the game than expected. At 5 a.m. we were good, but at 7 a.m. that had that pop, like I said, that happened at 5. We moved 50 pips on a move that usually moves a mere 30. So that trade looks like it would have moved a little bit against us. There's this big overnight pop that affected it. If it wouldn't have happened, then we probably would have finished closer around 12 pips. But I got a little surprise movement there later in the evening. Looking on over at the Pound report here. And we had a couple different reports. We'll pull up the Pound Dollar and look at how that one came on out. We had various reports coming out. They came out at 4:30 a.m. And again, that big pop. A lot of movement happening last night. Highly unexpected. Much more than normal. We do expect that to happen once or twice a year. And so we're sort of playing the whole safety and numbers there. That thing moved massively down on the evening. Let me go in and check one thing just on my, I want to make sure I'm getting, yep, live updates. So, anyways, but massive move, so a lot bigger than expected moves. Again, not sure if you would have got the fill or not because it did not oscillate up and down for you to leg into the trade. This morning we did have some earnings come on out on a couple different markets, and those affected the NASDAQ and the Dow. But then, of course, we have some for today after the close as well that you want to be aware of. Today after the close, we're going to have Intel Corp. We got at 4:15 is when its wire release should go out. And then this morning we had J.P. Morgan and Johnson & Johnson's come out there in the Dow. So a couple big news announcements. What about tonight? What's going on? We got the Aussie dollar new motor vehicle sales. That's going to happen at 8:30. Be aware of that. We got Westpac consumer sentiment at 7:30. And so I'll bring a couple of these up for you. Looks like it's taking a while for it to render. But so that can also affect the Aussie, along I said, with those new vehicle sales. China can have their CPI and their PPI coming out at 9:30. That can affect your Aussie trades and your yen trades. So ought to have a decent amount of, low impact, but you never know. Sometimes we get some big moves like we did. And then tomorrow morning, probably one of the biggest things to be aware of is ECB President Draghi going to be speaking at 3 o'clock in the morning. So just be aware of that one. That could have some impacts on the market, whenever he comes on and talks. So if you have any overnight positions, you want to make sure you have that one on your list. And let's see, what else do we have? We got various reports coming out on the pound at 4:30 tomorrow morning, so that could also impact you. And we got a couple potential here iron condors. I had so those are the pound reports, average earnings, climate change, unemployment rate coming out. We have a few reports that's going to give us a iron condor trade in the morning from 8 to 10 a.m. And so entering at 8 a.m. is when we'll enter the trade for a 10 a.m. expiration. If it's there, we may have to leg in or may not be able to get the trade, but just so you know what the expected move is there on the euro dollar. Once that one comes up, like I said, it's just going a little bit slower than normal. And so it won't let me open multiple at one time. I'm not sure why that's taking so long, but it's like the site's just being slow on pulling stuff up. There we go. Okay, so we got a $30 minimum take profit on that trade, entering at 8 a.m. for 10 a.m. with an expiration. Again, that's on the euro dollar. Entering at 8 a.m. for 10 a.m. with a $30 minimum take profit that we'll be looking for on the trade. We also are going to be looking at another trade for tomorrow evening. We'll be getting in the trade at 11 o'clock p.m. for a 7 a.m. expiration on Thursday, beginning at 11 p.m. tomorrow night. On the Euro final CPI 5 a.m. release, we'll be looking at a $35 minimum profit on that trade. That will cover you through tomorrow on all news trades that you need to be aware of. I went through a couple of them yesterday. I'll cover them again tomorrow for you. But if you want to check out yesterday's show, I went through CAD manufacturing sales, U.S. industrial production, unemployment claims, got the oil inventory release happening on Thursday, not Wednesday, okay? You also have natural gas happening on Thursday, Philly Fed manufacturing, and a host of earnings as well. On the 17th, we'll have CAD core CPI and PPI. We'll have U.S. building permits, and Yellen is going to be doing a speech on Friday. That is basically the news layout for the rest of the week. And like I said, each day I'll go through tomorrow, the next day's trades for you in detail, so you have those on your calendar and have them ready to go. At least whether or not you trade the news, just having the expectations on how far it usually moves. And again, I go for basically try to get 10 out of 12 of these to be profitable for me. And then I just use stop plug in order to protect my trade in case it does move against me while I'm asleep. So you don't have to take that full loss on. You can help protect yourself on that. Let's see. So we reviewed the franc and the pound trade. We talked about earnings releases and weekly crop report. That comes out, we got progress reports. That's not necessarily a massive thing unless you're trading corn and soybeans. It's just something to be aware of for when the markets reopen. A lot of times if it's a big move, that will happen overnight. So unless you're trading on Globex, those weekly crop progress reports are not really going to have a big impact on you because if they do have a big impact, they'll have it in the nighttime session. But I just put them up there so those who are ag traders can be aware of them and watch them. Let's see here. We talked about the different events to be aware of on FX tonight and got that covered. And we talked through the calendar for tomorrow and talked about getting ready for the Iron Condors and Draghi speaking with the FX moves. So let's see here for next week. Not a whole lot on the calendar yet. I'll be pulling more stuff up. But just your normal thing. We got a lot of earnings happening next week. We'll also talk about earnings on Google on Thursday specifically. Next week, the earnings that we have coming out. like every day. I mean, it's full-fledged earnings season. Can cause some interesting volatility, so just make sure you're ready for that. And, I mean, you can have high days, low days, back and forth. What you will see is often you will see mutual funds start to put money into stocks right ahead of earnings because, they don't get in trouble if they miss the down moves, but they do get in trouble if they miss the up moves. So if there is some positive expectancy and they miss out on that, people are upset about the mutual fund underperforming the market, even though most do. And so they usually hop into those along with it if they're meant to mirror, like, say, the S&P 500, like those big funds that mirror, specific major indices. Then they'll pour into those ahead of certain earnings announcements, unless they just have a big expectation that it will way underperform the index, and then they may stay out of that. But that's pretty rare that takes place. Let's see. Okay, that covers all of our news trades. Let's go in and let's look at some potential trading plans that we can do. I've been talking about these more and more as we're getting each one of these, walk through. And let's go through and walk through a few of these markets and talk about just the outlook and see how they did. But let's go in and we'll start off with the Russell. We got about 15 minutes here. We can walk through a few of these different markets. And let me pull that chart on up for you. I was looking for a lot of sells on the market, and we got a big pop up. One of my sells was going to be pretty high, up at 1063 with a stop up at 1072 and a take profit at 1058.2. So 1063.4 was the stop, or the 1069.9 was the entry on that trade, and we had a stop, like I said, right up there when I hopped on up. Could have just barely tipped it, depending on exactly how you set that stop, and then moved on back down for a second entry after the stop was hit, came back down, hit the price again for move on back down. Very bearish on the market. I mean, the market's been running up, but as far as selling the rallies in a bear market, buying the dips in a bull market, and try to be careful about not buying those dips in a bear market. But anyways, that 1063.2 came up, got hit, but then came on right back down. And moving on down, and our goal right now is for it to move on down to 1058.2 is the current target I have, which is just above the 1 deviation level. So I've got about a 5-point move right there, and that is what I'm looking for the market to hit next before close of today. That's my current plan on the Russell. Okay, so current move down from 1063.4, and so we're pretty close to that with the stop just a few points above it. And let's see here. And what do we got? We got that one. Okay, so just wanted to go into that with you. But, yeah, looking at stops just above it there. But we're right at the short with the goal of 1058.2. And I'm going to put the stop right now just above 1070.6. So 1071 is where I'd have my stop at. Pretty high stop, but I do have an expectation it'll drop on down. So a variety of ways to take advantage of this trade. One of those would be to target a 1058 binary contract, which is one of many ways that you could trade it. You could also just go short the spreads. You could go short the Russell right now, but it's moving on down right now, right towards the expected move. So we'll see if we get that on down there. And if you're not using the scanner is the fastest and easiest way to help you find a contract on the Nadex platform. I can go through and sort of show you what I do whenever I look at it. And pull that up right now. But like I said, we're already moving pretty good. We may be there within just a couple minutes and go ahead and hit that take profit. But let's see. Let me pull it up. And let's go in. And now we'll go, like say, we choose the binaries. And we choose the Russell. Okay. Say we're looking to sell. Let's drop out the 5s and 95s. Get rid of that. Okay. And we'll get rid of the weekly. So let's look at daily and intraday. All right, so going down, going short here, looking at the possibilities. Said our target is right around 1058. It's already at $75. It was around 85 just a couple minutes ago. But so you could look at going short 1058.2, buy back when it hits 57 is one possibility. That's about a $25 risk to make about 18 on that, I guess, right now. But it's moving on down. We would have been, like I said, we would have got it at 85, but just trying to call that out. I have it up on my other screen. Can be a little bit challenging. But anyways, the 1058.2, like I said, the target that we have on it is 1058.2. So that strike is literally our target. Okay? So that is one method. It's already down to 70 now, so it's moving on down, moving on down. We ought to be hitting that target hopefully here soon, just a couple points away. And so that's one day trading plan of a live trade in action. Just to let you see that, like I said, that was a sell at 1063.4, stop at 1071, moved out a little bit higher, just above that 2 deviation level. I'd like to be behind the 2 deviation level. Let's see. And let's see. I always want those stops behind deviation levels, not in front of them. So if I go short, I don't want to be stopped out like right here. I'd rather be stopped out up here where it has to break through. And you can see how it had a challenging time breaking through right there. It had popped up and then it's dropped right on back down. And again, that take profit down there at 1058.2, just about 2 points lower than where we are right now, about a point from the low on this current 10-minute bar. All right, that gives you a wrap for the Russell. So you can follow along in your own charts on that trade. We can go through, we can look at some other ones and see where they're at right now. Let's go in. Let's pull up another chart. Let's pull up a separate chart. Make things a little bit easier over here. And let's see. Grab that. Put it over here. Move this one out of the way as it's doing its thing. And all right. So on the let's pull up the S&P. Let's look at that one. So right here on the S&P, some of the most liquid contracts available on the Nadex platform, really on any platform. Obviously, here in the U.S., the most liquid future. Kospi is the most liquid future in the world, from what I know. I don't think there's anything more liquid than it. It makes the S&P look small in comparison. But it's hard to get your hands on the contract here in the U.S. because it used to not be legal to trade it. And then once it was legal, none of the brokers had it built in. None of the clearinghouses had it built in. And so it's a lot more difficult to find a broker that has access to it. There are a few of them out there, though. Let's see. On the S&P, had a couple buys and a couple sells on that. So let's see what we had. We looked at let's see, I'm trying to put it all in here. And as far as where we're at right now, had a sell up at 1901, but it didn't hit that. Had a sell at, okay, I have a sell at 1878 if it keeps going down. So if we'll bust through this level, we have a low right now of 1878.25. So I do have a short at 1878. Okay. And so we'll see if we can break down on that. If we're able to break down at 1878, then I'd have a stop. And this is a pretty wide stop. So this is definitely a Nadex style trade. The stop is all the way up at 1912. So it's a massive stop. But I got a target at 8 of 1857. We'll talk about that when I get back from this break. Stay right there. Okay, so yeah, anyways, looking at some pretty massive moves over here. Had shorts up at 1901, didn't quite hit that. If we do break down, I mean, we're looking for a pretty big move on down below 1878. I'm actually looking for a potential move down to 1857, which sounds insane, but you've been here the same as I have. That's a move just down to the negative 0.5 deviation level. And so isn't exactly an insane drop with the current volatility that we've seen. So won't be completely blown away to see it move on back down to 1857 if it breaks below 1878 there. That is my current target that I'm looking at on the S&P for the short side. Let's see, on a move up, it'd have to move quite a bit higher before we look at the long right now. Let's see, let's go in and look at the Aussie dollar. Okay, we'll pull that one on up. By the way, if I'm looking at binaries and stuff like that, I'm probably going to be choosing, especially if I'm doing it out of the money, then I want to get as much time as I can on that trade. Probably not going to be looking at current hour, okay? Let's go ahead and let's, like I said, look at the Aussie dollar maybe in a little closer light. And we have a few potential setups. We got, shorts, and we got some longs and a little bit of everything in between. Obviously, had some big moves. Just this massive gap happening right here where markets were exploding last night. And I was on with some traders who were like, what is going on? But anyway, so we got some big moves happening. You go back and check out the news to Monday Morning Quarterback it all you want. But let's see, I had buys way up there. We didn't actually get all the way up to those buys that I had pretty high. Let me go back in. Oh, okay, it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense. 1 second, it loaded up the wrong one. I'm like, that doesn't line up with any of my pricing for my plan. All right, so back on Aussie dollar. We had explosions there on the euro pound on the way up, but Aussie also moved up pretty big last night and then came on back down. And on the way up, was looking at a buy at around 87.85 with a take profit 88.17. We got just within a few ticks of that. We were at a 0.7 deviation level. We were actually at a past the 1 deviation right there on that. So definitely would have been tightening their stops. Remember, one of the things I always teach is whenever a 10-minute bar closes above a deviation level, tighten your stop to be right above that. Okay? Looking on over at the sells below settlement there, we got some big movers down, trying to see if we got anything a little bit higher. Once it hit that 88.17, we're looking at that short right there. So once that stop was broken, would be another way to trade that. And we're looking for a target down to 87.86. We came on right back down. We definitely hit that 87.86. Didn't really have, let's see if I had a second target. No second targets on that one. Could have went a little bit lower on that with the 87.86. The next targets I've been looking at would actually have been 87.68, then 87.49, and then 87.08. So we got down to the 87.68. We got down to the 87.49 right here. And let's see, 87.08. Have not got down to 87.08 yet. Let's see here. So and if it did get all the way down to 87.08, then we'd have a potential buy to the upside. I do have some sells even below that. I don't know if we're going to get down to those today, but the Aussie just continues to get cremated. My next trade on the lower level, I got the 88.17 entry. We already covered that. 87.68 entry, we've already hit that, along with the first two targets. Haven't got yet down to the 87.08. Potential buy right there that pops it down. And I got one more sell underneath that, but I don't think we're going to hit it today, so we'll have to cover it tomorrow. But looking for a sell down at 86.40. All right, y'all have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow right here on the Diagnostic Trading Hour.